August 20th, Sunday, day 924, part 1, daily conditioning. So what we're going to do in this video is, as I'm going through my rise and grind, I'm going to talk about my top 5 fitness mistakes that I see frequently committed by individuals that prevent them from obtaining the results commensurate to their efforts. So for starters, let's recap the first one, which I covered in my short on Saturday, and that's jumping into fitness challenges without having a plan for how to transition into a maintenance phase afterwards. Like I mentioned in that earlier video, challenges are a great way to motivate you to start developing some positive habits through the discipline that's imposed via the external timeline. I've only got 90 days to lose X amount of pounds, or I've only got 90 days to get ready for this half marathon, or I only got whatever the case may be, right? Well, the problem is, whether it's a particular weight on the scale, whether it's a particular accomplishment in terms of activity, there's the desired outcome of the challenge resulted in some long-term beneficial change versus the more commonly observed outcome of, okay, we checked that block, now we're just going to go back to our lifestyle that got us in the place that made us feel like we needed to do a challenge to get out of that place originally. How you train for a sporting event is not necessarily how you're going to train in the off season. Similar to how you diet to lose weight quickly is not necessarily how you're going to eat in order to maintain your new lower body weight. But what you should take from the training and or diet are tools, are habits that you can utilize and implement in your day-to-day moving forward so that you can keep the weight off, or so you can maintain the majority of your newfound fitness level that you obtained while training for that event. Okay, moving on from that, the second of my top 5 fitness mistakes that I see committed quite often is an over-reliance on supplementation. Now, I'm not anti-supplements. In fact, I'm very much pro-supplements, and I spend a meaningful period of time researching and committing a lot of trial and error to figure out which supplements are efficacious for myself and in general. That being said, even the most effective supplements, such as caffeine, creatine, magnesium, only have a marginal effect compared to your overall diet and how you train. I guess the best way to put it is you can train and eat well and get fantastic results with 0 supplements, or you could take the best proven 100% efficacious to their maximum potential supplements and get little to no effects without any training or a crappy diet. If your training's suffering, if you're having troubles being consistent, you're not improperly recovering because to save a couple bucks every week, you switch brands of protein and this brand is just inferior to the brand that you swore by for X period of time. If you're experiencing a meaningful outcome, positive or negative, the last place I would look is supplements. The first place I would look is your stress/fatigue management strategies. Managing stress inputs with recovery means and all stress inputs, so work, life, finance, environment, and training volume, is orders of magnitude greater than any supplement that you can possibly take. Because after all, there are levels to this, and some people are objectively better at it than others, but all of us can only train what we can recover from. Number 3, I've talked about in previous videos earlier in the channel, but obsessing about the scale, whether up or down. The scale is a tool, and weight is a metric that is valuable to track in order to see trends up or down, or up and down as the case may be. That said, weight as an independent metric is almost meaningless without a context. Weight independently matters the most for sport specificity. If you play a weight class sport, if you're like a wrestler or a fighter or whatever the case may be, and you need to be between X amount of pounds and X amount of pounds, or X kilos to X kilos, then yes, that number specifically is important. For just about any other cohort though, that number only matters when contextualized with height, lean body mass, health markers, a total amount lifted, etc., etc. If you allow the number on the scale to negatively impact your psychology, it's like an improperly used construction tool. Now we just have exposure to additional hazards instead of a tool that's actually helping us produce. And so with that analogy, sometimes elimination is our best option in the hierarchy of hazard controls. What's preferable, in my opinion, is getting an individual to disassociate their negative psychological perception of the number on the scale to whatever. I'm not getting results fast enough. I'm still fat, or I'm still skinny, or I'm still weak, or I'm never going to make this weight class. Biology is action over time, after all, and sometimes the complex series of events that are happening within our body that result in the number on the scale going up or down take some time to achieve, and it's not necessarily on the timeline that fits your emotional response. You might want a commensurate result on the scale to the amount of effort that you've been putting in to make that number go up or down, but it's pulsatile. It comes in waves. So sometimes you do a lot of work and you barely see the needle move, and then you finally stop, all the work catches up to you during that recovery period, and then whoosh, the weight, if you're on a bulk, if you're gaining, goes up, whoosh, the weight, if you're cutting, goes down. And then the other thing with the scale, folks, is there's just daily fluctuations due to all kinds of things. You know, hormones, sodium intake, daily stress, environment, all kinds of stuff. So putting too much stock into that number on the scale is definitely in my top 5 fitness mistakes that I see people improperly hedge their bets on. All right, now the last two are probably the biggest offenders, and they both involve taking a concept that is correct, but over-indexing to now an incorrect conclusion. So number 4 is only calories in, calories out matters. Now, calories in, calories out is ultimately thermodynamics, energy balance, to term it properly, is ultimately the final arbiter on whether or not you're going to gain or lose weight. However, when we say gain and lose weight, we're really talking about losing fat and gaining muscle. And specific to those two things, a reduction in adiposity and an increase in contractile tissue, neither of those things are guaranteed with just calories in, calories out. Just because you're in a caloric deficit does not mean you'll lose fat. Nor does a caloric surplus guarantee that you're going to gain muscle. Were that the case, we would not have an obesity epidemic worldwide right now. Which leads into the last thing, which is that only protein matters. Again, generally true, but not entirely true. While protein of the macronutrients is the most important one and the one that you should build your diet around, just checking the protein requirement block and then eating whatever else is unlikely long-term to result in any positive outcomes, health or performance-wise. While it's certainly a good place to start, a more nuanced approach, taking into account your health markers, lifestyle, and desired outcomes, should determine your overall macronutrient breakdown, and not simply, well, I got enough protein, so I'm good. I'd probably say, folks, those are the top 5 fitness errors that I see people commit on a regular basis, with the honorable mention that I've beaten to death on numerous occasions of don't just move around to burn calories, train with a purpose. Some exercise is better than no exercise, but we can certainly do better. Thanks for supporting my YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. Thanks for watching.